Probably shouldn't have went down to BART Hole because they were a sponsor at one time, right?
We could bring it
What
back.
we doing? BART.govs?
I love BART. I read BART every day.
So Mario,
I used to date a girl back in the day. She met me on BART. I lived in Mercantile.
That's elite. You pick someone up on BART?
Well,
Fast,
she picked me up. She had me. Yeah,
Damn.
It was a 4-month fling. A 4-month fling.
My favorite way to travel around the Bay.
Yeah, BART was great.
BART.
A lot of women. A lot of people used to
Find
catch
a
BART for the
partner in
women.
life.
So I guess we
Bart,
can't pull
you're
the
there.
audio
Bart.
properly, but two guys were fighting with swords on BART, and that was the guy explaining the story. He was sitting in front of him, BART, and Mario, who's all on Instagram. He was like, he's interviewing some guys. Like, what's the craziest thing you've seen on BART? He's like, two guys sword fighting.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father.
Dude, every once in a while,
Prepare to
guy,
take BART.
every once in a while, a guy looks at you sideways. You got to unsheath and
Hey, man. We need that BART sponsorship again, man.
It's all brought to
Some
you
things
by.
happen. Things happen on BART that happen on Muti.
It can happen on any transit.
I like that as a tagline. BART, things happen.
Things happen.
That's the Giants.
Things happen.
Giants slogan
get you
for
from
this
A to
year.
B.
Now,
Maybe something will happen.
Some things happened.
I'm not going to name the. Well, let me not go there. They're a sponsor too. It's look, man.
Sounds like you got a lot of sponsors.
That's what makes the Bay Area great. Hey, Lubman. Hey, this is great for San Jose Jazz fan. Bonte has dating advice for Sam Lubman. Why BART? There you go.
There you go.
We try to give Sam Lubman some game. He's been a little too nice with the ladies. Too nice.
God,
Gotta have a little
not
jerk in
us.
you.
Not enough things happening. BART, there you go.
All right.
Make some things happen.
Make some things happen. How about the Warriors making some things happen?
Oh,
defensively.
Yuck.
That was gross.
Look, I like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander a lot,
He's a star.
but good Lord. Can you get a stop?
Kaminga got a couple stops.
Can I get a stop?
He played defense a couple times.
Man,
The one at the
Turned
rim
that
was
into a
sweet, and then the
layup
one
line.
where he didn't leave his feet and he forced a short miss. But again, we want to crush Kaminga for all the things he isn't. What he is the only guy willing to defend on the perimeter right now on the healthy roster.
Last night just felt like a relapse. You know, when you get over the cold and you're like, all right, I'm ready to go back to work. And you go back to work one time and you wake up the next day and you got the tickle in your throat again. It's like, no, they're still sick. They still can't do it on the road. They still can't play defense. And I appreciate the entire conversation you guys had about Draymond Green walking away from a play that's not excusable, but I also think that's the much smaller point here. I'm going to need somebody to convince me that these veterans don't hate playing with Jordan Poole.
Yep.
You're going to have to convince me because the stack of evidence, if I'm a lawyer, I'm ready to go to court. I got Clay's arms up in the air. I got Draymond walking off the floor. We got a punch to start the year. We got Steph Curry, the nicest human being on the planet, getting fined for hucking his mouthpiece in the stands. And it's all pointed at the same person. So this isn't to blame him. I don't want to microcosm yesterday. You're right. He wasn't wide open. That's not the way you handle it. That's
Right.
totally unprofessional. But I just think there's a bigger issue. How are you going to convince us right now? You could say whatever you want in the microphone. How are you going to convince us that they don't hate playing with Jordan Poole?
But why do they? Because last year it didn't seem to be a problem when Jordan Poole was carrying their ass through the month of March.
Because
when Jordan Poole started off the postseason hot.
Because
they need Jordan Poole. He gives them something that they don't have on their roster.
You're right. However, last year was a different year in terms of the power structure of the Golden State Warriors because Jordan Poole, A, had not been paid yet, and B, was just coming into his own as a player who could do this at the NBA
That money
level.
hasn't kicked in yet.
I know,
fair.
but
They
he
made that
signed
commitment,
it.
though.
He
Right.
signed it, and it's guaranteed, and it's changed the power structure for sure with the Warriors. And you look back to the beginning of the year and training camp and what happened, and that was a time when the Warriors still thought James Wiseman was going to play a key role going forward. Like there is so much evidence that this chasm that we've wondered about is real.
We didn't even get the Wiseman watch.
He did some things last night, didn't
Been
he?
doing some things in Detroit.
Team Wars
sometimes.
minus 10.
Yeah, I
Sometimes.
mean, everybody wants to focus on that one.
I
Iguodala
don't
came back.
know
Oh, my
about
God,
it.
Iguodala plus minus. Well, he's minus 14
I mean,
yesterday.
over the weekend he scored 3.
Plus minus is so...
It's not a great.
It's a bad individual.
It's yeah, you use it when you need it.
Right.
You ignore
I
it
try
when
not
you
to
don't.
use it
I
at
think
all.
Yeah.
the Warriors would be better off if they just did more things like jump stops.
Coming right down my road.
That was the funniest thing I've
Where
ever
do you
read. in my
think
I've been
life.
saying it
got
for
it.
years. They
It was
literally
the
go
funniest thing I've ever
crash.
seen in my life.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Klay Thompson
How many
does.
turnovers yesterday
Yeah,
because of the lack of jump stopping?
Right.
It
You
was
love Klay
such a
Thompson, though.
beautiful-
He jump stops.
Yeah, he does, and
He
that's why I
jump stops
love
a lot.
Klay
Yeah.
Thompson. He's
Steph
fundamentally
Curry.
sound.
There's a beautiful youth coach comment. We need a jump stop up in here.
You're not
We really
athletic
do.
enough to go off of one foot. Not one of you. The only guy who can.
You're not wrong.
The only guy who can is literally Johnny Kuminga, and then off foot JP when he does the under thing when he goes off the wrong foot and then uses the reverse hand. But like the JP thing, I don't subscribe to that. I just don't.
Okay.
I'm watching Klay Thompson and him start to build chemistry,
Right.
Because they've been out there together now. Finally, this is before the Curry reintroduction. Like they looked awesome for 5 games together. Awesome.
Right.
Yeah, I don't buy it. I don't buy it either, especially because I see Klay's brother. He's been working out with Jordan Poole before games for the last 2 seasons.
And
And
Wiggins
if there was
and
a
Poole are
disconnect there, I don't think his brother would be working him out, knowing that hey, one day JP may take Klay's spot. I mean, like the disconnect thing. It's the veterans and the youngsters. That's
Yes.
what it is.
Yeah.
It's not just Jordan Poole.
Well-
You can't just isolate him because it's also with Jonathan Kuminga. Jonathan Kuminga, they got an issue with him
Sure.
because he blows an assignment. You know how many times I see Steph Curry blow a pick and roll or Klay Thompson blow pick and roll on defense? Draymond Green has not been the best defender. He's taking the ball out the hoop a lot this season. Hell, he's taking the ball out the hoop a lot the last 3 seasons. So it's the veterans and the youngsters. I don't think it's just isolated to Jordan Poole at
But
all.
Jordan's the focus of that. He's the only one that gets consistent high level minutes, and relationships are not rational. So to say that I watch them on the bench having fun, I watch them build chemistry, take it to our business, and maybe it'll help make a little bit more sense of what I'm trying to say. Have you ever known a radio show to have 2 people, they can function, they can be partners, or even a relationship? You can be partners, you can have good times together, you can usually be fine, but underneath the surface, you're exasperated, and when that person does something that frustrates you, it blows up into something that should be way bigger. Simply not getting the ball at the free throw line, and now you're walking off the court
But
in
you're
the middle
pointing
of the
at Jordan
game.
Poole when there is a
I'm
CVS
not.
receipt on
I'm
Draymond of him getting mad
See,
at everyone.
Here's the trouble with the point I'm trying to make. I'm not pointing at anyone. I'm making an observation.
Okay.
My observation is y'all are exasperated with each other, and you
Oh,
really
well, that's different than Jordan Poole.
I'm not
because the way that
blaming-
you
I'm
phrase
not
it, I
blaming
You
interpret it.
anyone.
said the veterans that
Yeah,
they
I
don't like
interpreted
playing
it
with
as
Jordan
they
Poole.
don't
That's
like
my
playing with Jordan.
observation.
But I don't think
like
they
playing
like
with-
playing with the youngsters. I think it's a
Maybe.
it's 2 teams right now.
I mean, they
And
got
it's been 2
Wiseman
teams all
traded.
season. Exactly. And that's
So,
so
yeah.
They got
And you're
Moses
not
Malone
wrong.
in Santa
Joe
Cruz.
Lacob is
You're not
looking
wrong.
he's looking at James Wiseman's game log saying, damn, all right, you want to say minus 10, but I see 10 or 13, 21 points.
So-
I see a guy who could put the ball in the hoop, which his team struggles, and I see a big who's getting better and better with reps that he should have received earlier this season, and that falls on Steve Kerr. And you almost did it with Kuminga. Thank God. I was praying, Mark, when I got the alert that they were starting Jonathan Kuminga, I said, thank God, because they were risking losing this kid. After having his best week of basketball, Iguodala comes back. Andre Iguodala, who's had more podcasts than games played or points scored. Kuminga's on the heater, and wait, you're going to play 13 minutes against the LA Lakers.
No,
$1.
You're absolutely listen. You're
Thankfully,
right.
they started Kuminga last night because they're going to lose this kid.
Maybe a better way to say it is they don't enjoy playing with the young guys, and Jordan is the representative. Right. He is the
He's that
president.
bridge.
He is the president of the young guys. Because what I see is the incidents are built up so many times, and they are pointed at Jordan, whether it be a punch, a thrown mouthpiece, walking off the court last night like Draymond. There's something there, and I can't be convinced otherwise.
And he has the biggest role.
Right.
He's going to be in those spots where he has the
Of
ball
the
in his hands. He's
no
taking
doubt.
these
Of the
shots.
younger
He's
guys.
making these
Yes.
passes. Yeah, he's going to be the one that I think draws that ire because his role is supposed to be so outsized.
Let me ask you guys this, and we go around the room with this. Is Jordan Poole asked to do the most on his basketball team if you take Steph Curry away? Think about the roles. Think about the roles that he's had to play this
We
year.
ask more of Jordan Poole at times than we do from Draymond.
Exactly.
And, like it's crazy to me.
all the
think
different
those are
combinations.
those are the candidates. I mean,
lot-
Clay until
what-
recently wasn't even asked to play on back-to-back nights.
Yeah,
Why
but
do you-
he
why do you
carried
say-
this team
why do you say
offensively.
Jordan
No, yeah.
Because you think about, all right, the start splits and the bench splits. When he starts, he averages 24.5 points per game. When he comes off the bench, he averages a meager 14.5 points per game. The percentages are nearly the same. They're identical, but also the different combinations. All right, tonight we need you to be a facilitator. Wait, tonight we need you to score. Wait, tonight we need you to come off the bench after Andre Iguodala and get this team a jolt.
It's load management night. We ask you to be a 1.
You go play with Ty Jerome and Anthony Lamb.
Right.
Exactly.
From this perspective, I agree with you completely, or I would answer your question, yes. He is certainly asked to fill the most roles. He has different roles every night. And for someone who's 23, that's probably pretty hard.
That's hard.
We probably don't give enough credit for what that's like because an NBA always has a totem pole. It always has a structure, but not for Jordan Poole because from week to week, what the Warriors need him to do is different,
right?
Yep.
I don't know. When I was listening to your earlier, and I know this is a different question, but when I was listening to your earlier thing, I was flashing back to the big three clowning Mario Chalmers. And Mario Chalmers isn't half the player. And isn't half the player that Jordan Poole is, right? But they needed Mario Chalmers to compete, and they needed him, and he wasn't even close to what Jordan is for this team. And so I got a little sense, I'm like, wait a minute, man. Like, Jordan's so much more important for what they're trying to do.
Sure.
Maybe he is the microcosm, the metaphor of what they get frustrated with, but like I would tell each of these guys, he can also simultaneously be your fountain of youth because he can help provide the game to be easier for some of you at times. And I just think that takes them off the hook. Last night, he was on the bench with the final 4 minutes to go. Yeah. He was on the bench, and they didn't execute. He's on the bench to start the game, and they're down 13-3.
I think in their heart of hearts, they know what you're saying. They know they need him. That's why when Draymond Green hauled off and punched him, they all came to his defense because they know they need him, but he drives them nuts.
Yeah,
he drives them nuts. You cannot look at
Couldn't
the
I
games.
say the same thing about Draymond?
I guess, sure.
Draymond drives
I think he drives everyone nuts.
But
Kuminga,
there's a respect level there that when things get difficult,
fear or respect,
whatever it is. I mean, there's a cachet, there's a resume, there is a pattern of success, and so therefore the rope is longer. You get when things get difficult, if there is an underlying respect and connection. You work through things in a different way. If I see people throw their hands up and acting like babies, walking off courts and hucking things into the stands, that tells me that there is an underlying respect that's missing.
I don't know. I think to use Draymond, Steph getting angry, that Steph never gets angry, whatever. That you file it away. Draymond in particular, the guy's angry all the time. He's screaming at referees left and right.
But to the point that he is quitting in the middle of a play.
He yelled at John. He's yelled at John Kuminga all year.
That's unacceptable.
He's yelled at James Wiseman all year.
He's yelled at Anthony Lamb.
That whole group.
He's yelled at everyone. He yelled at Nick.
Anthony Lamb.
He's not running up the court yelling at these guys, clapping. When he yelled at James Wiseman and got teed up for yelling at he was at least back on defense. He turned away and just walked into the crowd away from the play.
Then why are you identifying Jordan Poole as the problem when the individual who's getting paid $25 million right now and is 31 years old should act like a leader?
Again, I still think you're falling into we're pointing the finger. I'm not pointing the finger at anyone. I'm making an observation.
Excusing behavior that's bad.
Nope,
that's the way I would describe it.
Draymond is completely out of line, but when I watch someone react that way, that's not I'm frustrated in the moment and I'm a hothead. That's I'm giving up. I've had it. I'm out of here. I'm walking.
And that's on Draymond.
That's what I'm saying.
It is on Draymond.
No, Mark, I understand. I understand completely what you're saying.
There's something going on there.
I understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily agree with that because I look at the play and I'm saying, wait, Draymond's been coming up to the podium saying, I need to be a better leader. I need to be accountable. He said that all year after the punch. And he's gotten better at it. But then you do that, and you're like, after the first quarter, which he's pushing the line for technicals.
He always does that.
He's pushing the line. And by the way, the Lakers game, when it came down to it, and those guys want to talk about the youngsters or whatnot, 3 fouls were committed late in that Lakers game.
Yep.
Iguodala and Draymond.
Yep.
Late in the shot clock.
No,
the
you guys
veterans.
are right.
And so, can we get some accountability with the veterans instead of blaming all the youngsters and saying, oh, my God, the youngsters are driving us crazy.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Mark? Matson and Shasky, the veterans are driving me crazy this season.
That's fine. That's totally fair.
The veterans are driving me crazy because of lack of leadership. And it starts at the top with Steve Kerr.
They always know what to say when they calm down and get to the podium.
Yep.
And they're pros. Right. They're pros. They've been doing this now for over a decade at a very high level. They know how to handle the fishbowl in which they sit. But this is, again, you can be, as a fan, you can be mad at whoever you want. And there's no way I'm going to sit here and tell you that the way Draymond handled the punch or last night is acceptable. Of course it's not. And he, when he calms down, is usually the first one to tell you that. I need to be better. But the point is we are starting to see a pile, not one or two, a pile of instances where the veterans are literally acting out of character because of their exasperation with the young players, usually Jordan.
Could
that
it also
acceptable?
be that they've?
I just wonder if that's acceptable if the veterans.
No, it's not
to behave
acceptable.
Definitely
It's
not.
not acceptable.
No.
But
You have to
I think a lot.
compartmentalize and put that away.
Right.
To me, also that's deflecting because when you you see this in lots, whether it's celebrities, music, acting, sports, they're the last to know. The mirror's the last to know. When you're a step slow, it's not my fault. It's that guy. Hey, we're not as good as we used to be. I used to be able to stay in front of these guys.
Yes.
Can't do it anymore. Let me look for somebody to blame. I think that takes the onus off them.
Well-
like straight up. Look, this team cannot move laterally like they did just 3
No.
ye's ago.
Yeah.
It's fair to say
But
that.
the teams
100%.
destroy
That's
them.
totally fair. However, let's not act like we as fans haven't ripped hair out of the sides of our heads because of Jordan Poole.
Oh, I do it all the
He's
time.
all the time.
He's
I do it
not-
all the time.
My
He's
hair
not
is
a great.
gone.
Well, and it's because of Jordan Poole.
It is.
No, let's be honest. He's not a great decision maker on the court.
But this whole
He's
team,
not-
that has been the hallmark of the Warriors. Horrible turnovers for that decade, and they were so
it's
good they
not-
could get away with
it's
it.
not
How many
turnovers.
turnovers did Steph have last
It's
night?
not
bad shots,
turnovers.
though, too.
It's
It's
not.
Bad
Curry,
shots
too.
and bad shots basically are a turnover because you
Yes.
come down and
I
Jordan Poole
agree.
did this last week.
But who
I was in the
takes-
tunnel watching it. I tell the story. I had to go to the gatehouse and said, "All right, I can't do this. I'm gonna just watch this on television." Because the Warriors are cooking, and Jordan Poole out of nowhere is like, "Oh, let me dribble, go around the back, dribble, pull up
That's
from the
what I'm
Chase Center
talking about.
logo and brick," and I'm like, "Well, damn, you just killed the flow. That's like a turnover."
That's
It's
exactly
the heat
right.
check after one made
Right.
bucket that
Hey,
really
after
killed
no
them.
made
Undeniable.
buckets.
Well,
That's
it's awareness. You're up by 7 with a minute to go, and you huck something up with 15 seconds to go on the shot
Sure.
clock. Like,
But they do it too. Klay Thompson took a bad shot
That's what
yesterday
I'm
in
saying.
first quarter.
At the end of the- yes.
in the
Yeah.
first quarter, chucked up
Jordan-
a three,
Jordan-
no wherewithal, and then they hit a 3, and all of a sudden you're down
It's a
10.
6-point swing.
Jordan does that the most. Let's be honest.
Agreed.
all
He's
do it,
also the
though.
youngest, and he's also played the most.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Again.
all those things are true.
Again, go
I have
ahead.
2 questions. One, we'll start with this one. We'll go around. Do you think, Joe, we'll start with you. Do you think that if the Warriors had not signed Jordan Poole to the extension this offseason, that the season's going the same way?
No, I think there might even be weirder turmoil for Jordan specifically because where am I getting my money? I'm the Lone Ranger. I got to do everything I can to get every single bucket. On some level, I think that he's trying to prove that he's worth the money. On another level, I think he's probably a little more, But if you don't think there was a domino effect when it comes to the musical chairs of you got paid, you
doubt.
got paid, and I didn't, that's being unrealistic.
And-
Everyone thinks that way.
And I've been here for
Exactly.
4 championship runs.
It's the same thing
And
as
I helped
Pablo.
build this thing, and you're giving these guys the
Exactly.
money. Oh, yeah, there's a problem. There is something.
No doubt.
Which is hypocritical.
He's
I go back and
also
forth with that. It's a great question, Matson. You're right. It's a great question because I go back and forth with it. Shasky knows I love players on a contract year. I love making them play on a contract year, which
100%.
was my biggest beef with Draymond getting the extension back in 2018. It's like, make them play. Make them play. Now, you gave him his money, whatever. It is what it is. You win another championship. But I would have been very eager to see Jordan Poole play without that contract. And then the Warriors have to make a decision after the season.
That's
I thought
what
you
I-
needed to lock up
Yep.
Wiggins. That was a good move. But Jordan Poole, in hindsight, I'm like, I don't mind him playing on a contract year.
I was with you. That's what I thought they were going to do. That's what I would have
Prove it
done.
again.
However, let's also go back to that moment in time. And I don't think that they signed it because he got punched by any stretch. But at that
Man,
time,
got some extra money.
at that time, yeah, no joke. The Warriors thought, this is back when they still, at least I think, they thought this whole seamless transition thing was realistic. And so at that time, if you're buying that James Wiseman is going to be a thing, if you're buying that Moses Moody is going to be a thing, you think you've got your future core. Why would you not sign your 2 best young players, Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole? Then you start the season and go, oh, this 2 timelines thing doesn't actually work. I do wonder if they regret it.
Well, see, I don't
wonder.
think
And so
they
that
regret
was-
it at all because you're missing the cold calculated part of, well, we've got him under contract, then we can trade him and get something back. We're so far over the cap.
Right.
You are forced into a position, just as an organization, get an asset or don't get an asset. We lose him because someone signs him to an offer sheet. We get nothing back. We have him
Right.
now at least at a controllable aspect
Right.
where he's under. This is what happened with Dunleavy and Murphy. Everyone lost their minds.
Right.
They were able to get Stack Jack and Al Harrington because they locked those
Right.
guys in. So there's a couple. There's the emotional side, but I think there's the business side of even if we don't think he's that good, we'll be able to move him because he's
So you
under team
think-
control and someone else will take him.
So you think if the NBA said, "Hey, Warriors, sorry for the GP2 thing that happened. We're going to give you a redo on any contract." Do you think they would do that for Jordan Poole?
I don't know if they would
I don't
because
know.
of what Shasky just said.
I don't know.
Like, we can have our opinions about it, whether or
don't
not
know.
the Warriors should have done it. But I
Good
do
question.
think if the season goes awry and they get bounced in the first or second round and Joe Lacob sitting there like, you know what, this plan didn't work. It's time to move some pieces.
You have flexibility.
Jordan Poole's a very attractive trade piece.
Exactly.
And you
Okay.
can move
You
off of
could
that.
staple him to a lot of deals.
30 million, 32 million a year. It's actually a bargain for a player like that.
Part
I
of
don't-
why
I
they
don't
lost
disagree with that.
a lot of options with Wiseman, he didn't make enough to staple with someone else
Right.
to get something
Right.
back of significance. And so the one thing, like, I know we're losing, you paid him too
Right.
soon. Okay, if you hate him in the offseason and you want to move him, you staple it to something
him.
else, and now you can get something back that's
Right.
worth the value because you're so far over the cap,
Look
the
what they
money's
did-
got to add up.
Look what they did with D'Angelo Russell. We all went crazy. Oh my
Exactly.
God, they signed him, blah, blah, blah. They were able to flip him for not only
Turn into
Andrew
Wiggins
Wiggins,
and
but Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah.
And now it looks like a steal. And D'Lo's now back with the LA Lakers.
Okay, let me ask you guys this. If you got Jordan Poole into a private room with no microphones and no recording devices whatsoever and said, do you hope that Draymond opts out and leaves? What do you think he would say?
I don't think he'd ever tell
if
us.
I'm Jordan, I think Jordan. If I'm Jordan and I'm part of his crew, I'm like, listen to like the rhetoric from fans, and I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but anytime something goes wrong, the first person it was Wiseman for a minute. It is straight to Jordan Poole, and I'd be like, dude, I'm kind of sick of that.
Not for everybody. I don't think everybody's like that at all.
I think
I am.
This city,
I think a lot of
this
people
city
rip
is
Jordan Poole.
Sure,
Well-
sure, and
He'll never be able to come out of the shadow of the core three in the sense that they have such a long runway, which is earned.
following
it's
legends
very difficult.
is impossible. Sure. I get that. And I'm not saying that he isn't a focus of frustration, and I think he's done a lot to earn that.
Agreed.
But there are plenty of fans in this town who have been ready to move off Draymond Green for
Well,
3 years.
Well, I think Kerr.
I mean, that's like there's
It has. I've
personally
traded him
been
about
ready to-
85
Yeah.
times on
Dude,
the show.
everybody.
I tried to get him to
interviewed
opt
him
out
later that
of
night.
the
Hey,
smoke.
Draymond, how you doing tonight? Great game, buddy. Congrats on the win.
I tried to get him to opt out at halftime of the Portland game last week. I did.
Yeah.
Dude,
I emailed it.
Got a separate email. I was like,
They're
never mind.
they want.
But no, seriously, like with Poole, it's crazy because last year at this time, we're all having a pool party.
100%.
Poole
Yes.
was cooking. He was a fan.
He was the second best
popped.
offensive
Right.
player on the team last year.
Chase Center popped differently with Steph Curry hits threes, and it popped differently when Jordan Poole was cooking. And I was like, this guy's a superstar.
I think the carry thing has taken away so much from his game.
That swag.
No one has talked about it. He used to be able to and get any shot he wanted. It's not there this
How much
year.
of this is on Kerr? Because I go back to the Cleveland game, and Draymond does what he does, and you see Kerr like coddle Draymond, and he coddles the veterans. Jordan Poole got called for a delay game in Cleveland. They won that game when Jordan Poole's asked, hey, go play with Anthony Lamb, go play with
Right.
Ty Jerome, go play and try to help us win. And that was a great win for them. Great win. But Jordan Poole gets a delay game, and Kerr goes crazy. Kerr goes crazy and undresses Jordan Poole in front of the entire team. I was like, that's interesting.
Because they're exasperated.
But that's not right. That's not good. That's
Other guys
see that on that team.
I agree.
You don't think Kuminga's taking notes and Moses Moody's
Unless
taking
that's
notes
the
and
way
Ty
to get-
Jerome?
Unless that's the way to get through to Jordan Poole, like if that's the type of coaching
Right.
he requires, I don't know. I've not.
You want
been
Ju-
in I don't know.
I
him.
just
You
wonder-
undress him in front of the
I
whole
don't know
team. You're not
Jordan
going to do
Poole.
that to anybody else.
You've got a culture here that is, I mean, successful is the understatement of the history of this market, and I just think that gets to a point where it's very hard to penetrate. When we talk about Steve Kerr's decisions, I think we're actually talking about a group of decisions. Steph has a voice. Steve has a voice. Draymond's got a voice. Clay's got a voice. Myers has got a voice. And they've all been doing this thing together for a long time at a very high level. And to come in and challenge the habits and challenge the way that they do things is very, very difficult. And to ask them to get off of the way they've done it in the past, like, I'm not saying that excuses it,
Right.
but this is like these habits and this way with this group are ingrained in there at a deep level. And he challenges those things. And maybe that's
You think
good.
he does, Jordan Poole?
I do.
He's the first one in the gym, the last one to leave.
I don't think he's doing anything necessarily wrong.
He works his ass off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
I
he-
don't
like-
he
you know what
turned
I'm
himself
saying?
from a G leaguer to a
Right.
20 points per night guy.
So the veterans should be coddling him like, yo, Poole, thank you. You give us another guy who can handle the ball and can
Yep.
facilitate the offense.
until he starts taking a shot that
Right.
Steph should
Until
take.
he ticks me off. Exactly.
Right. And that's where I think
no, that's interesting because like last night, and I said it to the group thread, and I said I didn't see the post game because I was so angry. Steph Curry didn't pass the ball.
Radio Bonte come out?
He didn't pass the ball the whole fourth quarter. We all love Steph. Steph's amazing. He can do no wrong. But last night, if we're being real, he took 3 bad 3-pointers at the beginning of a shot clock when they got to stop. He didn't pass. And I said, why is Klay not getting the ball? Now, I'm not saying, of course, Curry's amazing. Of course. But there are times other guys on the team also need to take responsibility and realize, like, dude, work the system a little.
There's no question. However, the same way when your snot-nosed kid acts up, we don't look at it the same way as when someone else's snot-nosed kid acts up. You know what I mean?
But
coach.
Poole's on the bench when Curry is getting double trapped, and he has 3 turnovers in the final 4 minutes. That's not on Poole.
But Steph's got different rules.
No, trust me.
How does Steve Kerr fit into all this?
I get that.
Yeah.
How does Steve Kerr fit into all this? Because he's been so rigid. Like Kuminga, for example. We talk about this all the time, Shasky. He's on the 3-point line. Get his ass in the dunker spot. We know Kuminga struggles with the split action. How about we adjust and run some simple pick and rolls with him and get him downhill? But Steve Kerr loves his system. And so if the players don't, like, how about you play to your players' strength? We see Shanahan do it all the time.
Yes.
Shanahan does that. You know, we see great football teams. Belichick did it for years. Okay, we're going to be a run-first team this year. All right, next year we're going to spread it out, throw the ball all over the yard. Steve Kerr doesn't do that. It's like, it's my way, or you're sitting down there, seat number 10.
Maybe Damon Rado will ask him today at 4:00.
Oh, that's a good tease.
I'm going to tell Lucas. I'm going to say, Lucas,
unless
tell
they
him to
don't,
ask us.
then it was a terrible tease.
Oh, boy. Maybe they'll ask.
Then
Maybe they will.
Then
Maybe
you
they
sold
won't.
them out,
Tune in to
and
find
they're
out.
going to come at you young buck trying
David
to
ain't
come
no
in.
punk.
How would Phil Jackson,
Coming
I always think
up
about
next.
this. I think Phil's the greatest. How would Phil Jackson deal with this Warrior team right now?
Put him in the triangle.
It's true. You go on vacation.
Which has read and react concepts.
I'm just
to it.
asking. Just as a thought.
Damon ain't no punk. He's going to ask a question.
He's definitely going to ask.